According to a report by the UN Human Rights Council, today's kids are the first generation to grow up fully digital. They're online before they can even walk. But that's raised a big question. How do we keep them safe online without locking them out of the internet altogether? The internet has a lot of potential for kids learning, creativity, connection, but it also exposes them to real risks of privacy breaches, manipulation, and inappropriate content. So many governments are stepping in. For instance, Australia recently banned social media for anyone under 16, but India is taking a different approach through its data privacy law. India's Digital Personal Data Protection Act, or DPDPA, requires apps and websites to get verifiable parental consent, or VPC, before collecting any data from anyone under 18. That's right, under 18. To do this, companies need to verify the parent's age and identity. The law suggests tools like DigiLocker or government-issued tokens, or relying on their own records to verify a parent's credentials. For instance, a social media site that may have the parent as a user can create an interface to map the relationship between the parent and the prospective child user. The idea behind the VPC is to let parents decide when and how their kids interact with the internet. Think of it as a digital version of permission to play. But here's where it gets tricky. India's version of VPC is a lot more intense than other countries. In the US, the COPPA only applies to sites directed at kids under 13. In the EU, the General Data Protection Regulation when services are directly offered to kids. India, it applies to every single company and to everyone under 18. That's a huge compliance burden, especially for small businesses. We spoke to one COO of a young health sciences startup about this requirement and what it means for his business, not only as a compliance burden, but as a source of friction in the user interface.
Kshitij, I work as the Chief Operating Officer at Savikalpa Sciences. We are a phytomedicine company working to create phytocannabinoid formulations for patients suffering from a variety of chronic pains and diseases, ranging from cancer, migraines, IBS, IBD, endometriosis, dysmenorrhea, insomnia, arthritis, so on and so forth. We have both oral and topical products. Concerning the requirement, we used to actually voluntarily put a disclaimer when people arrived at the website, asking them to confirm their age and confirm if they're above the age of 18. However, when we did look at user analytics, we decided to remove the same because one of the things we realized was that having a separate pop-up when someone comes to a page leads to a number of rage clicks, people moving off the site, people not being able to understand how to move forward often. And also there was a potential belief that a number of people who fell off, a large percentage of that was also because when one sees a message such as, are you above 18 years of age? One assumes that there must be something which is restricted, something which is not allowed on this website, even though our medicines are fully legal and regulated. What is more important than whether they're 18 or above is that they speak to a doctor before using any of our oral medication, but the topical medication could be used by anyone. That was the decision. We decided to remove the age gate, so to say, on the website. We did see fewer number of rage clicks post that. We did see a lot more interaction in terms of people scrolling down the site. Often when people come to your site from Google search or from a third-party link, they're on their phone. They want to get to the information directly. And any sort of resistance seems to lead to people dropping off from the same. So our belief, and something which was validated by data, can share specific MS clarity data over several months if required, was that we did see an improvement in customer engagement once we had removed that. If we do have to put it in place again, I think it would affect everyone across the board the same. But it does make, I think, D2C marketing more difficult, especially considering, for example, a large number of our products, primarily the topical products, are all available on Amazon, and that doesn't have any age gates for the same. So the patient is able to access those products without facing those issues on other websites, such as Amazon or PharmEasy or 1mg. So for them to have to face it on our website would only hurt our own website ecosystem and the patients and customers coming directly to our website. There is a need often, especially for example, in an industry like ours, where we're selling phytocannabinoid formulations, to avoid recreational use of the same, to avoid people misusing the same. But there are a number of other checks and balances, especially when it comes to purchase. You need to speak to a doctor, you need to get a prescription for the same. So the checks and balances ensure that anyways, someone will not be able to misuse / abuse the system. An age gate is simply a validation tool. Anyone can click yes. It's known fact from other industries. Having a validation age gate doesn't mean that kids are not going to access that content. So perhaps there has to be some other solution to this. Do not think this will be the most appropriate solution from a customer accessibility UI perspective.
Here's another issue. Most countries set the age for verifiable parental consent at 13, sometimes 16. That means the VPC only applies to children who are younger than 13 or 16, depending on the jurisdiction. In advisory guidelines issued in 2024, Singapore's Personal Data Protection Commission stated that the children aged between 13 and 17 are generally capable of providing valid consent, and added that organizations could seek VPC if they believed that a child did not sufficiently understand the nature and consequences of providing consent. But India set it at 18. That high threshold is likely to backfire. India's DPDPA sets 18 as the age for verifiable parental consent to align with requirements under our contract law. Under our contract law, only those above the age of majority, that is 18, are capable of consenting to a contract. But legal experts argue that online consent should be treated differently from offline consent, as children increasingly use digital platforms for education, communication, and entertainment. India is trying to protect kids online, and that's important, but its current rules might be too rigid to actually work. It's a balancing act between safety, access, and fair implementation. But let's face it, in a digital world, being online is no longer a choice, it's part of growing up.